My best friend of 1 year moved in with me and later accused me of trying to break her and her boyfriend up. My best friend Jane, 17F, and I, 17F, have been best friends for about a year and a half now. We met at the beginning of school last year when I was the new girl and we had classes together, her being my only friend. Jane is turning 18 soon and recently in November asked to move in with me. She lived with her dad in a one-bedroom, not having her own room, and often slept on the floor in her dad's room or on the couch to my understanding. My family and I are well off and had an extra room that she could use, so after many discussions with my mother she was allowed to move in. She still has a home at her dad's, and stays there every so often to spend time with him or on nights when she has work. Jane pays nothing to live with us, not for rent, groceries, or anything like that. My mom even paid for most of her furniture and a brand new PC and setup for her. I'm not saying this to try and make it seem like she owes us something, as she does not, and my mom and I have all done this expecting nothing in return. My mom calls Jane her adopted daughter as a joke sometimes. I hope that's enough background information on Jane's living situation with us. So here's where John, 16M, comes into play. I recently moved to a new school only this year. Jane does not go to this school, and knew a guy from one of my old schools I reconnected with, and he graciously let me sit with him at lunch and opened me up to his friend group, to which I am very grateful. John is this guy's best friend and very popular at school. As a group, we all decided to spend time at a school event together back in October. I invited Jane as my guest and that is where the two met. Jane is my best friend ever, so I was very excited to share my new friend group with her and so we could all hang out together if she liked them. She did, and the whole group of us hung out very often, like almost every day all throughout October. My house was normally the spot to come hang out because my mom had no objections and there was plenty of space and snacks and often dinner, like pizza or a home-cooked meal by my mom. My mom is very sweet. Jane and John were very instantly clicking at these hangouts, and I was not happy about it at all. I had many concerns about if they got together and broke up that Jane could get kicked out of the group or we both would. As I mentioned before, John is very popular in the group and at my school. Since Jane didn't go to the school almost everyone in the group went to, I thought it would be easy for her to get kicked out. In which case I would obviously take her side and then have no more friends at my new school. I know that is probably selfish of me, but I have switched schools every year of high school due to not making any friends and really liked these people. However, Jane and John really liked each other, so in the end I decided to try and stop being negative and support Jane. Jane and John's relationship started in early November, and Jane moved in only about a week or less after. What me and my mom didn't know was that inviting Jane to stay with us meant that John was practically moving in as well. But in support of Jane, my mom and I said nothing and always welcomed John into our home. We invited him to everything, and my mom even gave him work since his clutch for his car broke and needed help paying for repairs. About a month goes by of John coming over to our house during all of his free time practically. This is where the drama starts. I want to preface this with saying that John is genuinely a very nice guy. I considered him a friend, albeit not a close one. If Jane was like my sister, John was like my brother-in-law. We barely talked one-on-one, and if we did it was normally about Jane and their relationship. John and I have maybe like one or two common interests we talked about sometimes, but that is the extent of communication with him. One night I put a song on my Instagram by an artist that Jane and John like a lot. They even recently went to a concert for his music. It is not up my alley at all, like not even a little bit, but I enjoy one song he made. That was the song I put on my Instagram at like 3 a.m. since it's definitely one of those songs you listen to at 3 a.m. and know? Jane DMs me about it 10 minutes after being like, you listen to this, and I respond with a haha yeah, but it's the only song I know. I leave it at that, put my phone down, and go to bed. I wake up at around 11 a.m. the next morning to her coming in my room on the phone with John. I had promised to DoorDash her one of her favorite drinks that she had been craving when I woke up. That's not unusual, and I woke up straight away and looked at my phone while chatting with her. On my phone is a DM from about 3 hours after our last messages last night basically saying, paraphrased, "Please don't try and break me and my boyfriend up and do a thing where you see him unhappy and I want to work this out myself. You listening to this artist is very unlike you, in a very haha non-serious but still confrontational way. I am very taken aback by this and have no idea where this is coming from. I assume maybe she just had a crazy night and got in her thoughts too much or something. I respond with to give her a chance to back out of this and be like, oh sorry what was going through my head last night. Mind you, she's sitting right in front of me with her BF on the phone. She does not back down. She starts typing while still chatting with her BF and I wait for the response. Jane has complained about me to relationship problems with John before and had been contemplating how to fix her relationship. She responds practically saying the same thing but in a less jokey tone, completely going for this idea. I instantly start typing like 3 paragraphs on how I'd never do that to her, never betray her trust like that, saying I want them to stay together and I didn't post a song by that artist about her or John or SM like that, and just like the song, Jane backs off at this and said along the lines of oh okay. Sorry, I thought the song was to John or something, I was just crazy last night. Some point during this, she quietly leaves my room and I just sit there like WTF. I was so hurt that she thought I would do that to her. I burst into quiet tears and just cried for a bit, and then 20 minutes later she asks for me to buy her drink. I make up some dumb excuse which she could probably tell was a dumb excuse and I don't buy her the drink. In her defense for this situation, when her and I were friends for maybe a couple months but still early into the friendship, I thought she was the coolest thing ever and I loved her so much and was so grateful that she was my friend that I would literally do anything for her. Still now kinda haha, she's amazing. Her current BF at the time she spent all of her time with was not the nicest guy. He's actually a massive dick and was mean to me, but he seemed like a good boyfriend and Jane really liked him. I was low-key jealous since she was spending all her time with him and stuff. Not my proudest moment. So I told one of my friends, who does even live in the same state as us but is close enough for it to be like a 4 to 6 hour drive, that we should loyalty check him and that she should follow him on Insta and try and break them up. This was very stupid and a horrible plan and I knew that instantly, so she just followed him on Insta and I told her to call it off and not DM him almost instantly. I told Jane about this a few months after and we both had a laugh about it. She used this story in one of her DMs to me as an example as to why she thought I was trying to break her and John up, and I can get that. That was a not cool thing for me to do and I know that, but it still really hurt that she thought I'm capable of trying to seduce her current boyfriend. Which was what she was implying, I am pretty sure, and trying to get them to break up when I have been trying to be nothing but supportive and have been actively telling her, don't break up with him, he's been really good to you, and stuff like that. But it's whatever, I try my best to get over it, but I lose a lot of Jane is the best thing ever from this interaction. Things go on as usual and I act as normally as I can. I really wanted to talk to Jane about this, but the interaction happened directly before winter break and my best friend was coming to stay with us for 2 weeks and I didn't want to make things bad right before he came to stay or before Christmas and stuff. Those 2 weeks go by, and I am still a bit upset. John and I had talked before winter break about Jane and he told me she thought I liked John in a romantic way. Her main reasons were, before she'd shown interest in him I had called him cute. When he was doing jobs for my mom I said hi to him while walking to my room when we were home alone, and I had chatted with him for a while and ordered us food later the same night, and when she came home I apparently giggled and she didn't like that. I never meant any harm and I do not like John in any way like that, but maybe I was acting like a pick-me? I really didn't mean to. John had distanced himself after that by Jane's request and I noticed and also tried to distance myself. We became friends again however when I helped him get a Christmas gift for Jane and he got cool Christmas gifts about his only shared interest with me. We also sit together every lunch and have a class where we sit next to each other. I consider John a friend, so I was kind of a little sad Jane didn't want us to be friends, but her opinion matters most to me and I would choose her over anything. Hey race, where the title finally comes in. I had been absent from school for a day and apparently at that day I was the topic of conversation. There's only 5 people who sit at lunch with us including me. To my understanding, 2 of them were shit-talking me. John was a bystander, and 1 was my friend who told me about this. I was very hurt by this, and Jane wasn't happy either. We were both upset about John either not standing up for me or at least even telling me about the situation. I wasn't even that mad about the shit-talking, I had just trusted that John would tell me if I was getting shit-talked when he practically lives with me. John's apologies suck and he makes things worse for me by kind of telling the 2 people who shit-talked me that I know about it. I have classes with these 2 people and now I've been too scared to go to school because I'm so embarrassed that they shit-talked me. I'm just really scared and don't know how to navigate this situation. The friend that told me about the situation offered to sit with me at lunch instead so I don't have to sit with them and I am very thankful. I asked Jane to please not let John into the house for at least a week, and she agreed. Well, 4 days later, she asked to let him come over. Devastating. I know relationships come first, but it's not like they can't hang out somewhere else. It just felt so awful to know she would rather hang out with John at our house than uphold our agreement. I don't want it to seem like I'm punishing her for something that's not her fault, so I say IG, and am super dry and upset the whole day. She picks up on it, but I give her the cold shoulder. I don't know. I know we need to talk. John is a nice guy and all, but I no longer have any interest being his friend. He's come over twice now and I've been practically ignoring him. I'm just so sad. I wish my house was a safe space. Sorry for the massive yap session. This is so long. Thank you if you've read this far, but I doubt anyone has. Haha. If even just one person gives me advice, I'd be eternally grateful.